Hello, pre-algebra. Mr. Lawrence here with your flipped lesson for Wednesday, February 8th. Come on, guys. I know some of you are getting a little bit apathetic, but come on. A lot of you are working hard. Keep it up. The school year's almost over. This time is going to fly by. We're almost to Washington, D.C. This time is going to fly by. Don't let your grades slide this quarter. Come in and see me for help. I'll tell you, I was the only one here at the help session on Tuesday. All right? Come in for help. I want you to be successful. I want you to get off to a good start for your high school careers. I think we're just about ending the 4th week. We're at 3.5 weeks. So let me see. That would be 9 and 5, 14 school weeks. Yeah, 14 and a half school weeks until you are full-time high school students. That is going to go quick. All right. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the Pythagorean theorem. All right. And I'll give you a quick warm-up problem. You can solve it on your own. Let's say you have a right triangle. And let me change the orientation of it just because you always see them the same way. There we go. And let's say that this side here is 12 centimeters. And this side is, we don't know. And this side we're going to make 6 centimeters. All right, go ahead and use the Pythagorean theorem and solve for x. We'll see if we agree with each other. If you can't remember, you should know it pretty well by now. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, I'll pause the video. If you've unpaused the video at this point, I assume you have the right answer. Okay, or at least some work, and maybe you need a little bit of help. You want to see my solution. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll bet you Raymara could tell you, is that I'm going to draw a line from the right angle to the side opposite so that I know which side C is. That's my first step. And then I'm going to plug 12 in for C. A and B, it doesn't matter which one A is. I'll make this one A and I'll make this one B. So x squared plus 6 squared. Now I'm going to square everything that I can. X squared plus 36 equals 144. Ooh, that's gross. All right. I want to get the x squared alone. I've got a positive 36. Omar can tell me to subtract 36 from each side. Right? X squared equals, those will cancel. And let me see, I might have to do a little bar in here. It looks like that's going to become a 3, and that'll become a 14. So I'm going to 8, a 108. This problem looks familiar. I think we did one as an example in class the other day. Yeah, I remember the 108. How do I undo a square? How do I undo a square? Let me think. I'll bet you Angela Schill can tell me to take the square root of each side. So x is going to equal, and I know my answer is going to be a little bit more than 10. How do I know? Because the square root of 100 is 10. But I'll take the square root of 108. Okay, and there you go. Rounding to the nearest tenth, we're going to call it 10.4. 10 and 4/10 centimeters. All right, very good. Let's look at a story problem. Hold on one moment. Okay, in this story problem, we have a person hang gliding, and they notice that immediately they are right above a buoy. They are right above a buoy, and the distance from them to the buoy is 300 feet. They're pretty high up in there, okay? They're being pulled by a boat over the ocean, and they've got their little parachute kind of thing on, and they're attached by a rope. And they know that the buoy is, the boat has passed the buoy, and it was 400 feet ago. 400 feet ago, okay? My question to you is, how much line has been let out? How much line has been let out? Okay, in other words, how long is the rope from the boat to the person hang gliding? Well, I can see a right triangle there. Maybe you can't, so I'm going to redraw it. There's my right angle. I know that this side, the vertical side, is 300 feet. I know that the horizontal side is 400 feet. And I know I'm looking for the diagonal side. Right triangle, missing one of the sides, looks like a job for the Pythagorean theorem. Ooh. First mission, Identify C. There it is. C is X. How come? Because it's the side across from the right angle, not because it's the side we're looking for. All right, A and B don't matter, so I'll do 300 squared plus 400 squared, and 300 squared is 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 90,000. 400 squared is 1, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, 160,000, excuse me, silly mistake there. And x squared. All right, now I have to add them together, and I bet you Morgan can tell us that if I add 90,000 to 160,000, well, let's see, 9 plus 16 would be 25, and then I'll have all the same zeros. Okay, so Gary Frederick could tell us to undo the square, we need to take the square root. Okay, now a calculator can help you. Actually, this is a real easy one. X is going to come out to be 500 feet. Okay, but just to prove it to you, I'm going to take the square root of 250,000. And there we go, 500. Okay, so 500 feet. All right, guys, that's your lesson for today. We're going to have lots of practice with the Pythagorean theorem. Hopefully, this is easy stuff for you. Tell you what, we'll do one more quick problem. Let me give you two similar polygons. Two similar polygons. Where are my polygons? I misplaced my polygons. All right, I'll give you that polygon, and I'll give you one similar to it. Remember, we do have a test coming up on Friday. There we go. All right, and let me make it a little bit bigger. So there are my two similar polygons. I'm telling you they're both similar. I'm going to give you some numbers. I'm going to tell you that this is 6 inches, that's 8 inches, and that's going to be 4 inches. And your job, you know that this one here is 20 inches. Your job is to find both x and y. Now, before I have you pause it and try to solve it, let me ask you, is this a Pythagorean theorem problem? What's that? Ryan Hevesy says, no, of course not. And why isn't it a Pythagorean theorem problem, Ryan? Yes, very good, because it's not a right triangle. It is a triangle, but the Pythagorean theorem only applies to right triangles. So we won't use the Pythagorean theorem. All right, but Curvin could tell you that the triangles are similar. That means we're going to use a proportion. All right, you can go ahead and pause. When you're ready to see my solutions for x and y, you can unpause. If you're unpausing at this point, I'm assuming that you want to see my solutions. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do slanted side over slanted side. So I'm going to go 8 over 20. And then I'm going to do my horizontal side over my horizontal side. And notice, my numerators involve the triangle on the left. My denominators involve the triangle on the right. I can't mix and match. I can't like have a numerator be the triangle on the left, then the other numerator be from the triangle on the right. I have to be consistent with this setup because I put the longest side over the longest side on the left, longest side on the right, there and there. Then I have to be consistent. I have to make this one on the left and that one on the right. So it's all about being consistent. All right, I'll cross multiply. I'm going to get 8x, which will equal 800, which means, uh-oh, something's wrong. What did I do wrong? Hold on 1 minute here. Let me pause the video and see my mistake. Silly Mr. Lawrence, 4 times 20 isn't 800, it's only 80. But all people make mistakes, especially math teachers, and it's good to recognize when you're making it. How did I know? I knew 800 was way too big. I was going to get 100 for x, and that means the shortest side of my triangle was going to be longer than my longest side. I knew that wasn't possible. So I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. I'm going to get x equals 10, and so I'm going to write that in, x equals 10 inches. All right, to solve for y, I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use the same proportion, except I will use the y and the 6. So I'll do 8 over 20. and that'll equal 8 over 20, and it'll be 6 over y. Okay, again, I started on the left with the numerator. On the left side fraction, on the right hand side fraction, I have to start with a triangle on the left. I can't mix and match. Okay, I'm gonna cross multiply and get 8y, which is going to equal, excuse me, 120. Okay, I'm going to divide by 8. I never like to divide by 8. Dividing by 8 is a pain. All right, but I know 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I'm just going to try to cut this number in half 3 times. So 120 cut in half is 60. 60 cut in half is 30. And 30 cut in half is 15. Therefore, y is 15 inches. Okay, you can use a calculator to do that, but if you start trying some of the little tricks I mentioned, you'll see that the math, it actually gets easier as you go. All right, I'm really done now. That was only 11 minutes of my time, a little bit longer for yours. But remember, you have a test coming up on Friday. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Mr. Lawrence signing off.